Hello everyone and welcome to this video. My name is Crystal and today we're explaining Army Twitter Sunday. Now, what is Army Twitter Sunday? Every Sunday on Army Twitter, Army Stan Twitter that is, on twitter.com, also known as x.com now. Thanks a lot, Elon Musk. Every Sunday, there's a joke that gets passed around that everyone hears complaining about how it's Sunday. Armies, for some reason, really dislike Sunday. But why do we dislike Sundays? Well, everyone has more free time on the weekends, and on Saturdays people usually run errands or do homework or catch up on work. But on Sundays, there is this ideal time zone convergence where later time zones like in Asia and earlier time zones like in America converge to have this perfect amount of free time to have drama and discourse and just talk about everything all at once. If you're on Army Twitter on a Sunday, you will likely find multiple conversations going on at once. There'll be someone talking about airport pictures, there'll be someone else talking about solo stands, there'll be someone else talking about charting, there'll be another person talking about hate that K-armies get, there'll be another person talking about racism from Western media journalists. It's just, the list goes on and on and on and on. And all this discourse culminates and kind of spreads throughout Army Twitter, and it bleeds into Army spaces on other social media platforms as well, and kind of this all-encompassing experience of Army Sunday, where we are all discoursing, having drama, and experiencing this prolonged conversation about many different topics. But really, what is the point of this drama and discourse? There's a lot of people who want to live drama-free in Army, which is completely valid. You are so valid if you not want to engage in discourse in this fandom and you just want to exist. It is important to have space to just exist in the fandom, because if you don't, then you will burn out. It is just inevitable. But what drama and discourse does do is help establish norms in the fandom of what is good behavior and bad behavior. This is essentially how we survive and exist happily with each other, since we are a fandom of millions of people. We come from all different backgrounds, different countries, different languages, different upbringings, and when there's so much diversity and so many different types of people in a space, you need to come to an agreement on how we are supposed to act in this space that we share with each other. And this happens across time zones, countries, and languages on Sundays and other days of the week, but most predominantly Sundays. This is why, even though I dread Sundays, I also see them as an opportunity for armies to tread some ground on topics we have not fully thought through yet. Discourse is tiring because it's a step above just conversing with someone else. You're going back and forth, you're going through the complications and nuances of different topics. For example, there's airport photos. Now, airport photos are a very hot topic within the fandom, and especially on Army Sundays, because there's so many different perspectives to consider when talking about airport photos. First off, there's the perspective of many armies that airport photos should not be consumed at all because they consist of photos taken by a lot of media websites that stalk BTS and try to stir up drama around the members and around what they do. And then there's people who believe that airport photos are acceptable in some instances, such as media lineups where a member is doing some type of ambassadorship obligation and showing off what they're wearing, because the members do have ambassadorships with different fashion houses and they are wearing the clothing from those fashion houses, so an obligation to the fashion house is to show that they're wearing that fashion house and to not wear other fashion houses. And then there's the perspective that all airport photos are free game and that anyone should be able to consume any airport photo because it's a public space. Now, these three perspectives are important to consider when having conversation about airport photos, because there's so much nuance and perspective that each person is coming from. A lot of US armies are very detached from airport culture, because I can say we in this instance because I am also a US army, but in the instance of US armies, perspective of seeing airport photos as largely negative, where there's a lot of airport photos coming from sasaengs and fan sites and coming from media outlets that we know are not trustworthy. But a lot of Korean armies come from the perspective of understanding how ambassadorships work and how these airport photos are used in the media, and also how BTS themselves have engaged and posted airport photos before. So, for example, RM, the leader of BTS, he has posted airport photos onto his Instagram story before, and that can be taken as kind of a cue or sign that this type of behavior is okay. And that can be taken as and then from the perspective of many people, since the airport is a public space that anyone can access, then it is free game to share those photos. Now, it's interesting to consider these three perspectives and then apply this idea of three perspectives to every conversation or topic on Army Twitter in general. And even in Army, there's more than three different types of opinion for each topic, because people are coming from different knowledge bases and backgrounds when they enter these conversations. So even though Army Sunday is sort of a joke, it's also very integral and important for our fandom to engage in, so that way we can understand each other and see where each other is coming from, so that way we can establish proper norms so that our fandom can run. Because in many instances, when we don't have these types of conversations, it tends to bubble and then pop, and then once it pops, we have much more prolonged, days-long conversations. Since we're a fandom that has multiple time zones, one piece of discourse can go on for days, literally. It doesn't take a lot to make discourse to continue on for like a week. So it's really important to consider how this discourse and this quote-unquote drama can help us. And also understanding the difference between discourse and drama as well. Discourse and drama kind of go hand in hand, where talking about these things and engaging in them does help the fandom. But there's also a line that you have to recognize on when discourse is productive and when it's not. For example, when people are engaging with you in bad faith, there's a lot of times where people comment things on like my videos and they'll say something like, oh, I disagree with you, or blah, 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 but they're not giving me any reasoning why they're disagreeing. And because of that, I choose not to engage, because you're free to disagree with me, but there is nothing I can engage with you on if you don't give me any reasoning on why you disagree with me. It's important to enter conversations with a goal and outcome in mind. So something I do on Army Twitter is that if I cannot imagine some type of outcome or goal at the end of me engaging with someone, then I won't engage with them. So this happens a lot with solo stands, for instance, where many armies believe that engaging in good faith with solo stands, giving receipts and like that, will be a good way to combat the disinformation that solo stands spread. But I'm someone who firmly doesn't agree with that, because solo stands, at the base of their nature, they are irrational and they do not accept or believe in fact. Everything that they consume and that they produce and that they share is fabricated. And you cannot fight disinformation with information. You fight disinformation with teaching of different behaviors and breaking down the disinformation. Does that make sense? You can't just tell someone that shared a faked screenshot with you that has the wrong translations, the original video with the original translation. You have to explain to them why the translations are wrong and why it's wrong to share that. But when you do that, you're also going against something they fundamentally believe in, because many solo stands fundamentally believe that a member is being victimized or hate on, or some type of other narrative that they are trying to push. Because solo stands are inherently irrational, it is not the best move to use rational means to engage with them. It's much more nuanced on understanding how to engage with solo stands and how to get something productive out of that. For me personally, if there's a solo stand issue, I won't even quote the solo stand that actually brings it up. I'll just talk about it on my own, on my fan account, and kind of subtweet about it, but I won't directly quote them or give direction to the person that actually said it. And this is a very strategic way to ensure that the attention is on the issue at hand and is not on the actual person, because again, the solo stand themselves is irrational. They do not engage or want to engage with you in good faith or have discourse at all. They just want to yell at you. This is why dogpiling from solo stands is a big problem, because they're not rational people. They are inherently irrational and will not believe anything that you give them, even if it is determined fact, because they don't exist in a world where that video or that photo that you're giving them exists as fact. What exists as fact is what they are fed by other solo stands and by solo stand fan bases and by solo stand video makers and photo editors. That is what their reality is. It's not whatever truth that you are trying to give them. To close out this video and to give a bigger view of discourse, discourse is often labeled as drama. And honestly, drama and discourse go hand in hand and are both necessary parts of any community space. Not even just Army, just like any community that you engage with, either in real life or like you might engage with your school community, and there might be drama and discourse in your school. So the drama could be like, oh, Tiffany doesn't like Jacob anymore. Meanwhile, discourse could be, oh, how do we get more pencils for everyone this year? All those things go hand in hand and build the community and help you understand what's happening in the community. Because overall, I really just hope that you come out of this video knowing that when you approach any type of community, either online or in real life, there's nuance to those types of things and how you engage with them and how you set up norms and behaviors, so that way you all can exist happily in that community. Having group and community harmony is very difficult, especially in a fandom of millions of people, but we try really hard to incorporate that and engage with each other. And if we need to do that through an Army Twitter Sunday, then be it. Overall, just know that people are complex, conversations are complex, and they are a crucial part of our community. Thank you for watching this video, and as always, please remember to stay thoughtful,